Hey, everybody. Welcome to Mid America Dirt. I'm Skip, and I am super excited to be joined by Jordan Barbee. Jordan, I've been trying to get you on here for a while, man. Finally happened.
Yeah, it's been tough. Our schedules haven't lined up yet, but I'm glad we finally got a chance to sit down.
Heck yeah. So you're from around Tulsa, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm in a town called Verdigris, Oklahoma. It's between Catoosa and Claremore.
Okay. Okay. And I know I've asked you this many times, never on here though. Tell me kind of your racing story. You come from a racing family and how did you get started racing?
Yeah, my dad used to build cars and they did a lot of stock car stuff, way back in the day at Tulsa Speedway. And he raced a little bit, did a bunch of like tag kart and shifter kart stuff. And so I was always, I was at the races, since I was in a stroller. And Never really got the opportunity. We didn't have the money to fund our racing, and so the first time I actually got a shot, I would help anybody that I could work on their cars, and then my first shot, I used to work on a kid's car named Josh Pickle. He was kind of our local guy here, and his grandpa was extremely wealthy, and we had built him a new car, and I would go over there every day after school and just work, work, work on these cars because it's I was ate up with it. And then as soon as we got done building that car, there was a chassis sitting there one day, and I was like, "Are we gonna build another one for another class?" And he was like, "That's gonna be your car." And that's how I started racing is through John Pickle.
Okay. And so what happened from there? I mean, you're open wheel, right?
Yeah. So, um, let's see. That was probably 2003, 2002, 2003 when that started, and, he put me straight into outlaw. I never drove anything, and he was trying to make the micro racing a little bit more affordable because he felt like the motors were getting out of control. He was real big. Anybody that knows John Pickle knows he was real big on these 1,000 cc engines because they were spending all this money taking these 600s and boring them out, doing the heads, all this stuff. They didn't last, too long, and you could take a stock 1,000, like, back in the day, like, if you had a motor that made 110, 115 horsepower, it was a bullet, and, you could take a stock 1,000 straight out of the bike and put it in there, and thing made 150 to 160 horsepower, and it would live forever, like, that 1,000 that we have in the car is the same engine that's still in that two-seater that they run at the shootout every year. I mean, we've ran that thing since 2003. Never changed any of
Oh,
them.
that
It
is
just
super cool.
Yeah, and the thing had so much power, we would have to run that thing in, like, 3rd, 4th gear. But, anyway, we would travel down to Oklahoma City because they were the only people that would let us run it. They made us put 50 pounds, extra on our car, and then we would race with the outlaw cars. So, I mean, when I got into racing, it wasn't like slowly getting your feet wet, he threw me at it, and,
Yeah.
back I'm not saying anything bad about nowadays, but back then, our local drivers like Harley Holland, Scott Sawyer, Kevin Bear, like, man, it was intimidating to jump in with those guys, being so fresh.
Yeah. And so from the Outlaws, and I may ask you a question, how did you like running those? Because they look
Yeah.
pretty damn cool.
Honestly, uh, it's probably the most difficult thing to drive, and that sounds crazy because anybody can be fast in them, but winning in them is extremely difficult. And so when you go from racing like Port City, like every weekend, and when I tell you, when it gets slick or it gets narrow on the bottom, where you got to really run the bottom and have a lot of patience, a lot of car control, or when it comes to running the top. So getting out of I think that's why when you see so many people get out of micros, especially coming from Port City, they're so fast and everything else because it teaches you so much discipline at Port City on how to hit your marks, how to really, really do what you need to do in the car. So when I went from micros kind of into the modified deal, when people thought they were actually running the bottom on these big tracks, I'm like, man, they're not even on the bottom. They were leaving all this what I would consider like really running the bottoms because at Port City, when you run the bottom, you're like you're bumping the tires. And so coming from micros at Port City to everything else that I've drove, I think helped a tremendous amount in my
Okay.
driving.
Did you ever run midgets?
So I ran a midget a few times. Mm, Like I said, I ran micros, and then my friend Dustin Morgan was running midgets a lot. So I went up to Belleville with him. We were 14 and 15 years old, and we were going to go watch the Belleville Nationals. So I'm actually in the bathroom. This is how I got my first midget ride. I was actually in the bathrooms at Belleville in the infield, and some guy's on the phone next to me, and he's like, "Man, I would rather rent my car out than drive it." So I literally just waited outside the bathroom for this guy to come out,
Yeah.
introduce myself, and I'm like, "I'm just a kid," and I'm like, "I'll round up the money somehow." So we got to talking. His name was Jimmy Miller. He was out of Utah. We took each other's information down. He gave me a price. I went out and started, knocking down doors and asking everybody that I knew that could help pitch in, and everybody pitched in, 4 or 500 bucks here, and that's how I got my first Chili Bowl ride.
Well, that's super cool.
It was
That's
awesome.
super cool. Can
It was
I can
cool.
I can I ask you like ballpark figure how much that was or
Well, so this is in 2005. So it's going to
yeah.
sound crazy compared to the prices nowadays, but I paid him. There was no crash deposit or anything. I paid him 1,500 bucks to run the Chili
Okay.
Bowl. Yeah,
Okay.
and it was a stealth midget, and we did we did really good.
Did you
I
really?
yeah, I'd never been in a midget, and of course we drew front row outside of the freaking heat race. So I'm like, holy crap! I got all this pressure on me, and then because back then it was hard to get a midget ride because it's not like it is nowadays with kind of networking. It just like if a local guy got a Chili Bowl ride, it's like, man, that's crazy. And so I draw outside front row of my heat race. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be on the front of this thing. And I got PJ Jones, the IndyCar driver next to me, and I got Gary Wright back in there somehow. Well, we take the green and PJ misses the bottom, and I take the lead of this race. And I lead about 4 laps of this deal. And I can hear somebody working me over. And Gary Wright was my hero growing up. From Hooks, Texas, was my idol. And I knew if I let him get by me, I would never get him again. And so he showed his nose on the bottom, was just about to get under me, and I just came down the racetrack and chopped his nose off and drove him right in the infield and spun him out. So after all this happens, there's only like 3 laps left of this heat race. And I'm like, man, I'm about to win the Chili Bowl heat. And he started tail back, and he was so pissed off that he come back in 3 laps all the way through that heat race and won. And
No
then
joke.
yeah, yeah. But it was that was one of my funnest memories because it was cool just to race with him. But and then I had to do something right then because he was
Yeah.
about to check out. But anyway, he ended up coming back and beat me anyway. But it was still kind of funny.
Oh, that's super cool, man. So how far up into how did you make in the features? How far did you come up?
So we ran second in that heat that night, and that still wasn't enough to make the show because the format was a little bit different back then. There was no qualifiers or anything.
Okay.
So we ran the B that night, and we were in a lock in up until about 5 to go, and there used to be Ryan Durst. Is that was his name? Ryan Durst. Anyway, we ended up getting collected with and we were both in transfer spots, and we ended up getting collected. Yeah, so that put us in like I don't remember, like a D or an E on Saturday, and we moved up one feature, and then that's about as far as we went, but
Okay.
it was a blast.
So is that the only time you ran the Chili Bowl?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
We've talked
Uh,
about we've talked about buying a midget, owning a midget just to have one, just to mess with, but, I got enough crap going too, but they're so fun to drive. But I tell you, when you watch those guys on boards nowadays that run the midgets, I mean, you wanna talk about being under attack all the time, like, I think that's probably one of the hardest forms of racing, right now. I mean, those kids they're so good,
yeah.
but
I talked to or I interviewed Drake Troutman this last week and he's gonna be over there. He tested at Port City
yeah, that's what I
and
heard.
he uh he said it was, you know, pretty completely different to what he's used to.
Yeah,
Completely different.
yeah. Yeah, my biggest problem coming from a micro, which I figured it out fairly quickly, but coming from the micro to the midget was not getting out the gas so hard on entry because they have so much, weight with the motor on the front of it. It would make the car tight. So you got to kind of tell yourself to not, get out of the gas so much to, not put so much weight on the front end. But
Gotcha.
yeah,
So
it's definitely, especially, he said he's never even sat in one. So it's, the way you sit, you got to get used to that, the way the brake works. It takes a little bit to get used to for sure.
yeah. Uh, so so then did you move straight into a modified kind of right in there and start running modifieds?
Yeah. So we ran micros, um, up until 2009, 2010. And, I had drove a buddy's modified one time and kind of liked it. And then me and my dad kind of, tried to put one together. And then, it was a decent car and we went okay. And then, we sold that car and we switched to a TRE by Bone, which was Tony Bone and Johnny Bone's company. And honestly, once we switched to that chassis company, it really came alive because we went from like I would say like an entry level car, and at the time the Bone car was as close as we were going to get to a professional car. And so as soon as I got in that car, it made me look probably way better than I was. But so as soon as we took up on our Bone car, man, there's something about the modifieds that are just they're so fun to drive. You got so much power and on such little tire. And the cars can, back then at least, they could be off and you could still make it work. And you could still pass cars and still win races or whatever. And but yeah. But yeah, we went from micros into the modifieds. And honestly, I've been up until we did the late model deal, that's kind of what I did. I
Okay.
enjoy the modifieds.
Did you ever run a series?
No, not then. We just kind of bounced around. The only time I've ever really ran something consistent was when the B mod deal got real heavy. We built a B mod, and then they built that new track at Tulsa Speedway, and we ran for the championship there. I think it's been like 4 or 5 years ago, and we ended up running second in the championship that year. We had this young kid from Oshaleta that I mean, my nickname become Deuce because I ran second so many freaking times to him. I just couldn't figure out how to beat the guy, but um, I just enjoy bouncing around, man. I like doing different stuff and going to new tracks, and I
I
mean
know your work schedule. You said you're pretty hectic and stuff. It's probably pretty hard for you to
it
kind of, I
is.
mean, travel off every weekend in it.
Yeah, and this year it's got real bad. We had planned on doing a lot more racing than we did this year, but like right now I'm running close to 200 guys right now. Um, we're in Arkansas, I'm in Oklahoma, we're in Missouri, we're in Kansas. We were in Texas, and I actually just pulled back. Midway last year, I shut my Keller, Texas office down just because I was up and down the road too much. It was just I was always worried that Oklahoma would slow up, and I needed something to fall back on because Texas, their volume's always so crazy down there. And it was, but Texas requires a lot more attention. They do construction a little bit different than we do in Oklahoma, and it just got to be too much, and I was gone all the time. And but Oklahoma's blowing up as far as construction right now, and I mean we are running full tilt right now, and we have been all year.
Yeah.
So
So where's all the construction at in Oklahoma? Like Tulsa or Oklahoma City or just all over?
everywhere. I mean, we're plumb out in Altus, Oklahoma. I mean, we're we're up by Kansas. We're in Tahlequah. We're in Northwest Arkansas. And the problem this year has been is there's been so much school bond money. So we're doing like brand new high schools, brand new football stadiums, brand new baseball stadiums. Like every project that we are doing is massive. Like we're doing that amphitheater right now. It's a few million in masonry, but I mean it's not slowing down. I mean, there's so much to the point where I'm telling people like, hey, I can't get to it right now. I mean, it's just it's a good problem to have, but the racing deal, you know, it's been affected by, which I'm not complaining by any means. We're blessed to be so busy, but Uh,
Yeah,
I
because
got to balance.
you're not gonna get out there on the weekend and make money racing, are you?
No, no. And then, the hard part is, when we're so busy at work all week and traveling or whatever we're doing, I got to balance my home life too, because there's times like, I've been gone all week. So as soon as I get home Friday, I tell my wife, like, let's pack up and let's go somewhere this weekend and spend some time with the boys. And, I got to make sure I, balance everything, the way it should be. I
Yeah,
love
does your
racing. Don't get me wrong, but family is most
sure,
important.
sure. Does your do they go with you every once in a while to the races
Yeah.
or
Yeah. Especially this year, my boys kind of really got into it the last half of the year. They were mud scraping and, they were running through the pits barefoot, just working on everything, and, they actually really enjoyed it, and, I bought my son a race cart, so he's gonna start pavement racing, this year. He turns 8,
wow, okay.
this year, so he's gonna be able to start racing himself, so I'm kinda curious to see if he loves it the way that I do.
Yeah. That's super
Yeah.
cool, man. Yeah. That is awesome. All right, we talked about this I think you're down in Texas. You told me you got into late models because of what's coming up
Mm.
this
Yep,
next weekend.
that's a
So
fact.
the dome. So you got into late models, so you go race the dome.
Yeah. That's a true statement. Yeah. Like the first time they announced me, Dustin Jarrett and Ben Shelton come down and they're like, man, that sure is a beautiful car. I'm like, we built it just to, come run this race. And I went the year, this will be my this will be my fourth year running it. But I went the year before that and my brother was begging me to go. And so I went and watched it. And I was like, having a chili bowl in my backyard. I don't know if we take it for granted, but when we were watching that, I was, like, looking around at the crowd and the environment and there's just something about the Gateway race that is just electric, and I was like, "Man, we have got to do this." We made it a plan to by that next year, we were gonna have a late model, and, about halfway through our modified year, there was a guy on Facebook that had a race-ready Longhorn and was looking for a top-notch modified, and I had a MB Custom that I'd bought off Bodega out of Texas. And, I shot him a picture, and he was like, "What kinda deal are you looking for?" And I was like, "Well, hopefully we can just do straight across, your operation for my operation," and that's what we did. And,
That's
so
cool.
yeah, we swapped, and, we ran, I think, 2 or 3 races before then, before we got to the Dome, and, that's how it started. And I didn't really know what what the plan was, but, man, after driving one for the first time, especially a full kill one, I couldn't believe it. I was kind of addicted to it. They were just I've never been in anything like that. They're so fast, they're so stuck, they turn good, they got good brakes. It's just they're just so fun to drive.
How was the how did you adjust to the setup, like getting them set up compared to a modified? Was it a pretty big learning curve on that or
No, not
is it a
really.
lot different?
The good part was we already bought one that was fast. So they had kind of already worked the bugs out of it. So when I got the car, I already had a full setup book on it. And I'd always kept that book with me. And so I just went off this guy's notes, and honestly, I mean, the car was great. And then, so we'd kind of stayed with Longhorn, and we sold that car, and then got a newer car, and stayed with Longhorn, and all of our notes always seemed to work. We started trying different shocks, and then, this year, at the end of last year, we had a really good dome last year, and we made the AMA, which was great. And I was like, man, we really got my car rolling. And then Tony Jackson hit me up after the dome, and we kind of knew each other a little bit through talking, but nothing crazy. He was like, "Hey, I'd like you to bring your car to the shop. I'd like to go through it." And I was like, "Okay." And he's like, I'd like to help you this year." So I had a work conference in Las Vegas, so I take him my car, and I'm thinking like, "Man, I don't know how he can get this thing any faster because it's really good right now." And then so he starts sending me pictures when I'm in Vegas. My car completely tore apart. Like he changed everything on that car. And then he was
Wow.
like, "Hey, I'm gonna get rid of these." I was on Penske's at the time, and he's like, "I'm gonna put Bilsteins on it." And I was just thinking, I was like, "Man, I thought my stuff was rolling pretty good. I hope it's just as
Yeah.
fast when I get it." So he does all that, And then I get the car back, and then me, him, Brendan Willard, and Billy Moyer go test at Tulsa one night, and as stuck as I thought I was before, like, like it was unbelievable.
The
Like the
difference?
change. Oh my god. Yeah. I mean, I pulled back in and he was like, "What do you think?" And I was like, I told him, I said, "You couldn't spin this car out if you tried." I mean, it was so stuck to the racetrack. It was unbelievable. And I like I said, I just thought I had my stuff going good, but switching to those Bilsteins and he changed the bird cages and he changed my 4-bar plates and he changed my whole right front assembly. I mean, honestly, we've done minimal changes every race that we've ran it since then, and it's just been so good.
That's awesome. It
Yeah,
really is. That's super
yeah.
cool. Um, so does it matter? Do you have to do a lot of adjusting on it, like depending on what track you're on? I mean, I know you said you didn't have to, but I mean, does it still, no matter what kind of track you're on, you're still doing good or what?
Yeah, we're pretty close because like, around here, we don't really run big tracks too often. Outlaw got shut down, Thunderbird, they run some, special shows, but for the most part, we're on small tracks. We're on, Caney and Meeker and Humboldt, and so, for the stuff that I like to race, all my stuff's really close. We might mess with some load on the right front and right rear, but as far as, like, bar angles and stuff like that, it has to get pretty slick for us to really start, making a ton of changes, but, um, I kinda know what my car likes, and Tony had kinda give me some tips on, like, "Hey, this is what I think you should do." So we kinda do the same thing every time, the track starts to slick off, I kinda know where to go with the car now, because the way I had it when I was doing it, I would do certain things, but now that he's kinda, like, shown me, like, what I need to do to help dial it in, I'll tell him, like, "Hey, I need more side bite on entry," and he's able to really, he's done it forever, and he's been so good at it, so he's able to really, pinpoint what I need to do, so he always helps me make the right adjustments. Because in the modified, you can make the wrong adjustment and still get away with it and be fine, but that late model, man, you make the wrong adjustment and it's not good. It's not
That's what
good
I've
at all.
heard. That's
Yeah,
what I've
it's
heard.
bad deal. I mean, at Arrowhead, they're so sensitive now because 'cause they're so stuck. We put a left rear wheel spacer on, a 1-inch left rear wheel spacer when we shouldn't have, because I thought the track was gonna blow off a little bit more, and I was trying to tighten up a little bit coming off, and just that 1-inch wheel spacer, I mean, had me tighter than hell. Just
Golly.
one wheel spacer. Yeah, I was just so tight, but that's how
Man.
sensitive they are.
You were talking about tracks. You were at Texas Motor Speedway. I thought you didn't have your late model there. You're in a modified down there, weren't you?
Yeah. Yeah. No, we like I said, we the last race we ran was Caney, and, I tore the whole deck out of it that night, run the top, and, so I decided to shut down, run the modified the rest of the year, focus on getting that ready for the Dome, start getting tires in. I know it's crazy, but I built a complete new deck and body and just start getting spares built up and stuff like that. Because, usually when I'm here at the shop, I do it all by myself. And so, like I said, it takes me a little bit longer than a lot of these big teams that are hammering out bodies, and then so I like to take my time. And um, me and Daniel Denton, the guy that owns D&D Sport Courts, got hooked up on this modified deal, and so it's fun to be back, kind of doing that too. But yeah, we shut down early so we could, you know, be prepared for the Dome because it's addictive. When you do good, you're like, gosh, you want to
Yeah.
do even better. Like last year, I put a lot of work into the race, and then we went out and we went fifth quick in qualifying, which was phenomenal, and it set our whole weekend up. And so it just becomes so addictive because you're like, man, I want to do better than I did last year, and every year's gotten better, and it's just so fun.
Yeah. That track, that small, real small track like that, does that kind of fit your driving style, for what you're used to over here in
I
this
love
part of
it.
the world?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it goes back to that Port City deal. I grew up racing those bull rings, and uh, that's where I think being technical really comes into play because it takes a lot to really run the bottom, like really, really run that wall down there. And so Port City, racing that, from when I was a kid, that's easy to me down there. It's just you want to qualify good there. Like my year last year, we loaded the car in the trailer after Saturday night. and there was nothing wrong with the car. No body damage. We qualified
Wow.
good. We ran second our heat race. We ran 12th in the A. We ran 6th in the qualifiers Saturday, and it was just, but we were always up front. Now, if you qualify bad, you know,
Yeah.
you gotta really get aggressive, coming through the field because like the heat race I was in, from third back, I mean, they were throwing kamikazes. I mean, that my heat race is the one that kid went through the fence. I mean, they were,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
they were going berserk back there, and I'm so glad I didn't have any part of that.
I hear you. Let me ask you this question. How much concentration does it take to run up close to that wall? I mean, can you, is it come natural to you to do that? I
Yeah,
mean, you can kind of,
yeah, you get used to it, and the cars, that place is hard because, the way the fencing is, the corners are so tight, you're gonna rip the deck off the car. If you're running the top, you're gonna rip the spoiler off of it, and you're gonna smoke the deck. But there's a lot of times you gotta be up there, you know? Um, the only hard part really, because we run really hard, like at Caney, um, so we're used to getting up against that wall, and being aggressive up there. When it starts getting really choppy and getting rough up there, that's when it gets
yeah, I
really,
mean, that's when they start bouncing out of the,
yeah, that's when you
off the
gotta
track.
really, yeah, pay attention to what you're doing, keeping your wheels spin up and trying to find ways to maneuver, through the holes. I mean, it's tough.
How
I
hard
think
is
it
it to move up through that, on that track in those races? If you're, which I know you weren't at the back, you said, but
well,
how hard is it to move through that field?
the year before we started 8th on our heat race and ran 3rd. So
Okay.
you gotta kinda be patiently aggressive. You gotta have luck. We had a little luck in that heat race. That's the heat race. Fager and Carson Hocevar decided to take each other out. So I was just sitting back there on that yellow, like, hell yeah, take them out, crash them. But I mean, it's very doable. There's no doubt. But you really got to be aggressive, and you know, it's all take and no give. I mean, usually where you're like, man, I don't want to do that guy that way. I mean, if there's a hole, your nose is going in there. You have to go because those heat races, they go by so fast. So you don't have no time when it's time to go. You got to go.
Yeah, I talked
But
to Colin Garner this weekend, and he said the same thing. He's like, "Yeah, if there's an opening, you got to get in there and take it because he just, I mean, you don't have time. I mean, you got to go.
no,
Yeah,
no, you check up waiting on somebody, and then somebody's gonna be right here inside of you.
yeah,
So I mean, you got to go.
yeah, yeah. What night are you racing, Jordan? Friday?
We race Friday night. Yeah.
Okay, okay. I think I'm going up there Thursday, I believe. And that's
Are you
probably the
gonna
only
stay the
night I'm
whole
going to be able
weekend,
to
or are you
go.
going back after Thursday?
No, no, I'm just gonna go up there and check it out. And I'll probably drive back,
Gotcha.
actually, even because I got to take care of stuff here at the farm. But
Yeah.
man, I'm not looking forward to what's. Have you outside sucks right now,
Mhm. Honestly, it's stressing me out. You know,
man.
I'm somebody sent me a picture of them on the highway up there in St. Louis, and I was like, boy, I hope it melts. A little bit before we get up there, because
Well,
I
I
don't want to have
know.
to.
I don't know if you've looked at the weather, but here it looks like it's going to be in the 40s and like
Yeah.
high 20s at night. So I bet
Yeah.
it's going to be colder up there. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Outside right here right now sucks
Yeah.
because the wind's freaking.
Yeah. The wind is
Unless you're
terrible.
you're an hour west of me, so it's probably
Yeah.
just as bad over there. And
It is.
I think Monday and Tuesday it's supposed to get pretty cold. And maybe tomorrow. So I don't know. Yeah, I just can't. I can't run off that far. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you'll have to come by the trailer. I think um, Thursday, one of our sponsors, there's a real famous barbecue restaurant in downtown St. Louis, and I think they're having a bunch of food brought into our trailer. So if you come up there, you'll have to come by and
heck yeah.
grab you a plate.
I'll do it. So let me ask you that. This is something I don't know. So if you're Friday night, are you pitted in there?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Everybody's in there.
Okay.
Yeah, the place is huge. I mean,
I
it's
know.
huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just
So
didn't
there's
know. I guess walking around in it last year, I didn't think, I don't know. Maybe it just didn't dawn on me. I mean, how many they can get in there.
yeah.
I know there was a bunch, but I didn't know if that was everybody. I didn't know
Yep.
if you had to pull in and out. So, all
No,
right,
they
that
put
makes
us all,
sense.
they put us all in there Wednesday, and yeah, we're in there until Saturday night.
Do you get to stay in your hauler if you want to, or in your toter, or do you have to
All
leave?
they have a toter lot outside that's fenced in. So if you want to stay in your toter, yeah, you can stay out there.
Okay. Okay. I just didn't know how that worked for sure.
Yeah, they
All right.
they've got it down now. I mean, the first couple years we ran it, getting in and out of there was crazy, but
Well, I bet.
these last couple years they've opened the doors and kind of let people filter out as they want, and
Yeah.
it's been a lot smoother for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's not easy just driving around in a car up there. I can't imagine
It's a
freaking with
nightmare.
those toters and stuff getting around in
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
there. Yeah. All right. Well, Jordan, man, I appreciate you coming on here. Like I
Thanks for
said, I've
having me.
been wanting you to come on
I know.
for months now. So I finally got you on here and it's super cool, man. I do. I appreciate you coming on and man, I wish you the best of luck
I
this coming
appreciate it.
weekend.
Come by the trailer. Say hey.
I will, man. I will. All right. Thanks, Jordan.
Thank you, buddy.